What's up, marketers? Today's video is going to answer one of your most common questions that I get on this channel, which is, should I work with an agency or a freelancer to run my Facebook ads? And in the spirit of transparency, I currently work for an agency, Thesis, where I work with direct-to-consumer brands that are spending anywhere from $250,000 to $2 million per month on their paid social advertising. However, in my career, I have also worked in-house as a freelancer, as a consultant, and of course, agency side. And to be honest, there is no one-size-fits-all. And there are pros and cons to all of these options. However, based on my experience, I now have a pretty good idea of what types of businesses should work with an agency or hire a freelancer or even just hire in-house. So what we're actually going to do today is answer a series of questions that are going to point you in the right direction. Now, these are the questions that I always make sure to ask potential clients, so you're also going to kind of see what it's like to be in the sales process with me at Thesis. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, question number one is, what is your ad spend budget per month? And where do you want to be within the next 6 months to a year? Now, the reason why I always ask this is because I want to make sure that their budgets are actually in line with the type of retainers that we would be charging them at the agency. What I actually did for you guys is I created a table to showcase what I tend to see plays out the most in the industry. So more often than not, if you're spending less than $5K a month on your Facebook ads or other paid social platforms, likely you're just going to be doing it yourself. And up to 10K, often the same thing. I see a lot of people doing it themselves, or that's when they start to hire a freelancer. As you get up to those slightly larger budgets at 50K per month, that's when I see people really working with a more experienced freelancer or even starting to hire out to a boutique agency. And up to 100K is when you're going to start to see more of the bigger agencies coming to play. And up to 200K, that's really where I'm seeing a lot of expert freelancers or bigger agencies. Up to 500K is almost solidly agency territory. And then up to $1 million per month or more, that's really where I see bigger agencies as well as people just hiring in-house. And again, all of these numbers are just based on my own experience and what I often see play out in the industry. But this data point of ad spend per month is really important to note because a lot of expert freelancers or even agencies won't work with brands that are spending less than a certain threshold because the fees associated with their services aren't going to make sense. But as you begin to invest more in the platform and you need more services, that's when those bigger agency fees are going to start to make a lot more sense for you. So again, if you are spending less than 10K per month, I would highly recommend that you have a go at running those ads yourself. In fact, I have a number of videos that show you exactly how I would set up and run those campaigns, so be sure to check those out. Now, question number two is, what services do you actually need? And this one might seem really obvious if you clicked on this video, right? You want someone to run your Facebook ads. But that means something way different to me now than it did even 18 months ago. For instance, on my team at Thesis, yes, we run your Facebook ads, your Snapchat ads, your Google ads, all the ads platforms. But that's actually a pretty small fraction of the work that we actually do for our clients. In addition to the media buying, we also produce and edit our own creatives and design and build out landing pages. And we effectively manage the client's growth strategy, which is going to include anything from offer testing, message and landing page testing, as well as other platform testing. On my team at Thesis, there are growth managers, CRO managers, engineers, designers, and video editors. It is a full-fledged growth team, not just a paid social team. And to be honest, a lot of businesses do not need all that. That depends a lot on your budget and where your brand is currently at with its growth. So if you're spending over 100K per month on your Facebook ads and you need a full-fledged growth team, which is going to include creative and CRO, then an agency is probably your best bet. Or are you spending 100K but you have your own internal resources for creative and for landing pages, then a freelancer is probably your best bet. And at some points, I do see that most brands go in-house. But there are a number of downsides to that, which I will talk about later in this video. Next up with question number three is, what type of creatives have worked well for your brand? And how experimental are you willing to get here? Now, this is actually kind of a sneaky question because I'm actually trying to gauge how easy it is going to be for my team to work with you and for us to get you results. So number one, we like to see what type of creative testing has already been conducted and how that aligns with your vision for the future. Because if you're wanting super polished video and image creatives, that type of content is likely going to be better sourced from coming in-house or from a very expensive branding or creative agency. Anyways, that's not really what what works on paid social so much. That's why I personally have not invested or pushed my team to produce those super polished creatives, something like this. Because if you've seen my videos, you know that things like this and this tend to do the best on paid social. Really gritty, simple UGC content that shows the core features and value props of your product. This is what truly moves the needle today. And again, sexy creatives like this are created to make your boss or your investors happy. But determining your creative needs is also going to help point you in the right direction for what type of media buying team you need to be working with. So if you need all the studio, all the UGC creative to be sourced, produced, and edited, you're probably going to be much better off with an agency. Or you're a brand that has enough money to hire that all in-house. But if you plan on supplying all the creative for your media buying team, then you could probably just go with a freelancer. Now, I will say that there are some other business models that I've seen that really interest me, like my friend Savannah Sanchez, who is an expert freelance marketer, but she also sources out her own UGC content that works really well. So she is able to do the actual media buy and develop some really cool and conversion-ready UGC creative. So that is another option too, but those type of experts are super, super rare. Now, the cool thing is that if you are up to date on modern best practices in Facebook ads and paid social, you know that creative is the biggest lever. So I have been seeing a lot more smaller agencies start to build out creative teams of their own to remain competitive. But again, unless you're spending more than $50K per month on your paid social ads, these fees are likely not going to make too much sense for you. Now, I want to go through the pros and cons of working with all these different options, because ultimately this decision is going to be made by a case-by-case basis. Again, there is no one size that fits all. No brand is the same. So I'm going to give you some hot takes real quick. So some hot takes on doing it yourself. Pro, it's the cheapest option there is. Additionally, you're going to be learning a new skill set, which I actually think is incredibly valuable, especially if you're going to be managing someone to run that platform in the future. I also think you're going to be a lot less likely to be ripped off by those people. Now, the huge con here is there is a massive learning curve if you aren't well versed in marketing or these platforms in general. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and likely you're going to be doing it wrong without even knowing it. So the cons with doing it yourself is that there's a massive learning curve, and likely you're going to be doing it wrong without even noticing, at least for a little bit, which could mean money wasted. Which is why I show you guys exactly how I build out these accounts for these budget types, because I would kind of feel bad for even charging someone to do that, because that is literally all that I do. It's truly that simple. Next up is a freelancer. Now, some of the pros of working with freelancer is oftentimes they are way more cost effective than working with an agency, but they have quite a bit of experience on the platform. However, some of the cons of going the freelancer route is it's really hard to vet out these professionals. Sure, you can get references or even case studies and ask how they go about their account building process, but I still find working with freelancers to be a super mixed bag. And to be honest, you could also have a freelancer who's really great at what they do, but just like not a good business match for the brand. I know I have definitely worked with some brands where I just wasn't the right match for them. Additionally, when working with a freelancer, you have to be super, super clear about what their actual duties are. Are they there to run your Facebook ads or spearhead your creative strategy or spearhead your growth strategy? I often find that when I was a junior freelance media buyer, I often got roped into a lot of other sections of marketing just in the name of making it work. I feel like a lot of you have definitely been there as well. So if you're gonna go the freelancer route, be sure to be absolutely clear about what their duties actually are. Now, next up is an agency, and I currently work at an agency, and one of the things that I really love about it is that there are multiple people and multiple perspectives working on your account. Additionally, there's also going to be a wide range of industry insights that come with working with many other accounts. However, some of the cons of this is that you never actually know who's going to be working directly on your account. And agency people are often overworked, and your account might not get the type of attention that it deserves. And agencies can be pretty expensive. Now let's talk about hiring in-house. Some of the pros of this is that a single person or a single team is dedicated to your growth and your growth alone, which means that you're definitely going to have people who are paying attention to your account at all times, which is pretty dope. And often I find that hiring an internal growth team or an internal paid social team is often more cost effective than working with an agency. However, what I've actually found by working with some of these internal paid social people is that there is a huge lack of knowledge about what else is going on in the industry. I often find that they're just a little bit out of touch with best practices because they only get that one account to build learnings from, whereas agency people work with so many different accounts every day that we can pull learnings from them and then reapply it to other businesses. And that's it. I'm super curious about what you guys thought about this video. Be sure to hit me up in the comments below, because again, this is all just my perspective. And again, not all one size fits all. When I was a beginning media buyer, I also worked with brands that were spending 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K per month in their paid social advertising. And that's totally fine. But what I often found is they weren't getting the true value of my services because they had so many other marketing things that they should have been concentrating on, like their email, their CRO, bulking up their creatives. So, you know, what can you do? Anyways, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.